Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the Bitcoin miners as well as the crypto stocks. So with that being said, let's get it. Excuse me. Okay, so before we go over that, there's a few things we're going to go over first. That is the nasdaq. So it was a green day today, but mostly flat, as you guys can see from the open to the close. It's pretty much the same levels. So I think it's possible maybe the indices are consolidating a little bit before ripping to the next level. That is typical in a bull run. Do know that there is slight bearish divergence here on the 4-hourly time frame. Doesn't necessarily mean that the market's going to sell off. It's possible that they're maybe just simply getting a pullback in time, which again is consolidation or walking the indicators back while the market chops sideways. So we are above this green level. That's very bullish. I suspect we're probably going to push up to somewhere in the 21,700, 22,000 level for the next area. That is some pretty substantial upside. So I just wanted to point that out to y'all. We are overbought on the weekly, but again, on the daily, but not on the weekly. The weekly time frame is a very, very long ways away from being overbought. We're just now in our first green week on the histogram. So I would say it's basically not quite at the midpoint, but I mean, we obviously have a long ways to go, right? This massive sell-off that we have actually gives the markets even more upside room to run after this consolidation and this pullback we saw over the last 6 months. So any pullback or any consolidation always gives the market more room to run up. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so quick peek here at Bitcoin. Basically what we're looking at is we are right on the cusp, literally right on the edge of breaking out to all-time highs. Again, if we get a close above this gold line here on the weekly time frame at about 104,500, any kind of candle close above that, especially if it's a green one, that is, in my opinion, game on. Crypto is going to moonshot after that because, again, we have broken a basically a massive consolidation area to the upside, right? So that is a very clear indication of a breakout. Whales, institutions, the finance titans, all those guys are going to see it, and they're going to want to jump in and maybe position trade from the breakout up to whatever they think the high is going to be. And then we should get some kind of alt season from there. So we covered this real quick on X earlier, but I did just want to briefly touch on it as well. That is Walmart earnings. And again, I mean, in America, I don't know how many of you guys are actually from other countries, but here in the United States, Walmarts are basically everywhere. They spawn like weeds all over the place. They're just literally everywhere you can think of. There's a Walmart. And it's a pretty strong indicator of basically economic demand. People can go and shop at Walmart, which is pretty cheap. To buy stuff at Walmart, it's very cheap, actually. I even go there sometimes myself. If people can still afford to go there and their earnings are still good, then that's a pretty solid indication of strong economic demand, right? And that means that we're basically good. So they had a real tiny, almost non-existent miss here on revenue. So as far as I'm seeing here, it looks good, and the markets obviously think it looks good too because it did rally as well with the rest of the markets. So I think Tesla and TSLL are in a bit of a consolidation period right now. We'll post that on X for you guys because I don't want to go too deep into it. But yeah, I think they're consolidating before we're probably going to see a breakout from 350 on Tesla, probably up to somewhere in that, I'd say 400, maybe 425 level. So now to cover the swing trade real quick, and then we'll go over the portfolio and then the crypto stocks. So we just took profit on I'm trying to remember what it was here. qubt. So this thing has broken out substantially. Again, when we tell you guys about these trades that we get in, it's usually right at the golden cross or it's slightly above it. But usually, that's the time that we get in, and it does run most of the time, pretty much almost immediately after that. So this thing gapped up and ran much further than we thought it would, but we still took profit nonetheless. And we didn't get the exact top here, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is net positive at the end of the day. So we'll show you here in a minute, but we did sell out of qubt for a nice juicy profit and decided to jump into SERV. So SERV Robotics is one that we're actually in the past. So we have this kind of flat top here. You can see clearly it's held down as resistance in the past, right? So we got a gap up above that, and then we started pushing. We looked for a while through some of these positions to decide which one we were going to get, and this was the one. So yeah, I mean, plus it just had earnings, and the earnings were obviously very good. And you got like little robots. I don't remember exactly what it is that they do. I think they have like autonomous robots in the city of Los Angeles or something like that go and deliver food to people. So it's pretty cool. Definitely an investment opportunity for sure. In terms of investing, you'd want to know more about the company itself. This is just a swing trade, but nonetheless, we got the trigger back here. We were more so interested in getting in on the breakout and the push above the support here, so that's what we did. And we'll take a look at the daily time frame. So daily and 4 hourly is overbought, but again, just because something's overbought does not mean it immediately has to pull back. And likewise, if it's oversold, does not mean it immediately has to pump. Okay. Especially in overbought territory, because markets are bullish 2/3 of the time over history. These markets can stay in overbought territory for a very, very long time before having any major pullback, like everybody saw in 2021, right? The SPX went from lows during the pandemic to just ripping for 2 years straight, and it literally took a year to 2 years for us to get any sizable pullbacks. So that's pretty much that. So we got the golden cross here on the daily. This was the trigger that we were looking at, right? Golden cross, kind of a chop sideways into the indicators, and then we said, okay, this is it. So we got in. Everything's bullish. We're in the bull territory on both indicators down there, and the triple EMAs here have not quite officially formed a golden cross, but pretty damn close at this point. So weekly time frame, MACD's curling up, that's bullish. RSI got the cross, that's bullish, and we got finally a candle close above the weekly EMAs, that's also very bullish. And again, we did get a break of this resistance line here. So now we're going to go over the portfolio real quick. So nice big green day. It's possible, like I said, I think the markets are basically just kind of chopping sideways into the end of the week to maybe push higher a little bit later next week. We'll have to wait and see on that one. So there's the SERV position. We're going to go into qubt real quick. And again, these swing trades could take anything from an hour to, it's rare for it to happen within the same day, but sometimes the swing trade can play out within the same day. Sometimes it takes a day or two. In this case, it took 2 days. Sometimes it takes a few weeks or a few months. It could even take a year or so. It depends on what you want to do. Okay, so we bought 213.45 here at $9 per share, sold out the same amount at $10.94 for roughly about a $415 profit. So 2-day trade, $415, not bad. Okay, so taking a look at SERV Robotics here. I believe when we told you guys about this on X, it was at like 10.10 per share. Now it's at 10.80 per share, so it's already moved up pretty substantially since we mentioned it. So here it is, average price 10.03, and then we told you guys about it. It ripped up a little bit, so can't really do anything about that. The markets kind of do what they do. So anyways, we're already up 7.5%, and it's currently at 10.78, and TSLL is still up. We have not sold TSLL yet. It's still too early, in my opinion. Plus, there's the idea of 10 billion Optimus robots being deployed across the world, and robo-taxis and all that stuff. So there is some pretty seriously bright future here for TSLL. Okay, so we covered the swing trades already. We're good on that. Let's go ahead and get into the crypto stocks as soon as I can find them. All right, here we go. So we're going to start with Coinbase. As you guys know, Coinbase got put in the S&P 500, and this thing absolutely just destroyed resistance and probably destroyed a lot of short sellers too. That's exactly why we do not short sell stocks. If we short sell, it's in futures only, and that's it. A lot of people could say that doing covered calls is a bearish position. That is true, but that's what the intention of having the shares called away at a profit. It's not with the intention of trying to send the stock to zero or whatever the case may be. So Nice big gap up. If I was looking for a pullback to potentially get in, it would be on this gap right here into support. So if you guys kind of bought, well, actually, you know what? To be completely honest, this actually could be potentially a good swing trade. If you guys were looking to swing trade something or get into a position, this could be a good one to get into because, again, we did break above this resistance right here. You see all this? Once we got that gap up above that, that's pretty bullish. And then obviously the stock's going to fly, right? So anyways, me personally, I'd be waiting for a pullback or put a cash secured put on for down to kind of 205 to 225 or as close to that as possible. And again, the highs up here, 310 to about 370. So even at the current price, there is still pretty high level potential upside here for about 39%. And it could definitely happen, especially if I shouldn't say if, when Bitcoin breaks past that 104,500 level, this thing will probably fly to the upside pretty quickly. How fast exactly? I don't know. I mean, this is crypto. Crypto can do anything. It can move up, 10x in a week. That's actually not unrealistic. It has happened before. So, okay, so we're taking a look at MSTR real quick. These levels are way off. I'm going to have to put in some new levels here for y'all to take a look at. That's basically your triple bottom support there. And I would say probably right about here is, it's not exact, but right about there is the next support level I'd be looking at, which is pretty much where it sits right now. You can see these kind of swing candle tops here did hit it and get rejected before flipping the zones. So 385 to about 400 here for support. Next level I'd be looking at, let me actually just grab one of these real quick. Next one I'd be looking at is right around here at this roughly about 345. I don't think it's actually going to go that low, but I think anything is possible in crypto. So again, if Bitcoin does break above all-time highs, this thing's going to fly because you guys know MSTR, they have like 5% of the entire Bitcoin supply or some crazy things. So there's pretty major upside here. In terms of still being from the all-time highs, we're still down pretty far from there, roughly about 27%. If we do the Fibonacci retracements here from the swing high to the swing low, which is basically, in this case, it's a bull Fibonacci retracement. So it's basically just a way to measure future price targets to the upside. So the next big level here is roughly about $750. And a lot of people might say, oh, that's ridiculous. MSTR can't do that. Well, you guys got to remember something. They had a 10-to-1 stock split, and MSTR used to be worth this, okay? It was 1330 post stock split, went all the way up to $530. So that's, what is that, a 40x return? So yeah, for this thing to double wouldn't really shock me all that much. So I would say maybe this on MSTR, maybe this is a good level for a cash secured put for positioning. For a longer term investment, I'd be looking for a little bit cheaper prices. For a longer term investment, if I was going to get in this for a long term investment, like 6 months or 12 months, I would probably look for at least a daily RSI to be oversold, which again, we got that all the way back in February. But if you miss the opportunity, well, you just have to wait for another one, maybe sit on cash for 6 or 12 months or something. So, but again, the premiums on MSTR are insane. So if you can manage to get MSTR or some kind of leveraged ETF on it, you can get some premiums on that, probably get your money back pretty quick. So let's take a look at the miners now, because we haven't looked at these in a little bit, and I think it makes sense now because, again, Bitcoin is literally right on the cusp of breaking out to all-time highs. So it's perfect opportunity for us to talk about this. Okay, so finally got the golden cross here on the daily. And we're getting pretty close to the weekly. We got the green on the histogram again. That's a very good sign. I would look for some kind of pullback area on Mara, probably right at the top of the zone, so roughly about 1230. You could do puts into that to get paid to position into it, kind of like we did with TSLL. That's always an option. So 1750 to 2020 is the next level here. I think it's possible Mara could very easily go back up to probably at least 34 this cycle. It could even go much higher than that. It's possible maybe Trump comes out and does some kind of deregulation on crypto that causes these things to fly to the moon. That could always happen. I mean, again, like I've told y'all before, it's one of two things: either smart money pushing these markets up, or some kind of major catalyst, or both. So 65% move here. Okay, so Riot, we're pretty much about to get that golden cross on the MACD. So we're pretty much, it appears that we're bottomed out here at this support zone. Again, we're still below the EMAs, got to get above that. But as of right now, I'd still say this whole zone, 630 to about 950 for the support zone. And I'd be looking for right around 20 as a target on this one. I do think it could easily hit that for about 240% gain. And I mean, again, we didn't, let's see here. So when the Fed cut rates back in September of last year, we did get a pretty sizable run up in these. So based on that information alone, assuming that the Fed does cut again this year, which I think likely is going to happen, probably going to get another run up in these miners just based on that alone. So maybe somewhere in Q4 of this year, since the markets expect the Fed to cut during that time frame. Okay, so CLSK not above the EMAs yet, but we do finally have two golden crosses here, not yet in the bull territory, so that's something we're going to have to keep an eye out on. As of right now, I'd say probably between the swing low 640 to about the top of the zone here at $8 would be the support level. I'm still looking for this thing to go to probably at least 18, maybe even up to 25, somewhere in that zone. For about a maximum move here of 275%. Again, this is still, I can't really say it's bearish per se. We do have two golden crosses here, but the price is still below the EMAs, and the EMAs on the MACD and the RSI are still below the break-even level, which is bear territory. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so HUT8, similar thing as CLSK. The difference is the price is above the EMAs here, so that's obviously a good sign, right? If you were holding HUT8, I would be looking at this level potentially as a take profit area. Again, not financial advice, but if I had bought down here in this $8.90, $9, getting up to into this level, I'd be looking to at least scale out a little bit. Again, that's because we got rejected 4 times before breaking out, but then again, it rejected still after that. So buy area, I'd be looking down here at probably somewhere between 10 to 9, 9 to 10, somewhere in there, and then maybe somewhere between at least a partial profit at 17 to 20, 23, 24, somewhere in there, and then the rest maybe take it off at 28 to 33. Again, if you held from all the way at the lows to the highs, or the swing high in this case, 270% gain. That doesn't include options premiums. Obviously, if you do options, right, you're going to have a bigger percentage gain. In this case, if you can nail it perfectly. Okay, Cypher. So we did have a pretty clear bounce here. Again, this is a multi-year flip zone, resistance turn support, so it's going to take a lot to break that level. This is kind of in no man's land. I personally, because it's below the EMAs, if I was going to do this, I'd put on some cash secured puts to get in, and then try to swing it all the way to the upside, and at least get 75% of the way to resistance at 5 to 560 to start putting on some calls. Or just buy spot down in the green and sell spot up in the red. You could do that too. For a 150% gain at this point. Okay, BTPT, so nice little bounce off support. This is, in my opinion, a little bit more bullish looking because it is still very close to that support zone, whereas Cypher is kind of more in the middle. So support here, $1.80 to $2. I mean, personally, I think this looks pretty good to do cash secured puts. I personally want to do the puts on the way down, not on the way up, but if it does have a retest for like some kind of double bottom and then bounce, you could get in that way. So resistance up here, 430 to about, I'd say about $5. And again, I know it says 487, but you got to understand trader psychology. Most people look at nice round even numbers like 550, 650, something like that, for kind of psychological targets, and they'll put their targets there because a lot of people just think in round numbers for whatever reason in the markets. People just do that. I don't know. That's just the way it is. So 187% here. Okay, so BITF, we did get a pretty solid bounce almost immediately upon hitting the support zones. So again, kind of the lowest point I'd be looking to get in is 68, 70 cents. Obviously anything below that is a steal, right? Considering that this thing was at $9 last cycle, then yeah, that's pretty much a steal in my opinion. Okay, so next level here that I'd be looking to potentially get out, and this is just my opinion. If you guys have your own setups that you look at, then obviously, go with that, right? So $2 to $2.40 here for the targets for a move of about 250%. Obviously, it could go much higher. I mean, if we start getting crazy Fed rate cuts, like the Fed just, for whatever reason, they have a freak out moment and they just decide to start cutting like crazy. If they do that, the markets may interpret it as a bad thing and might sell off, but then we may see the 2020 style recovery. And again, this is hypothetical. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's always a possibility. So Hive here, there is a possible double bottom that we just saw play out at roughly about $1.35. Again, that's going to the bear market lows back in 2022. That could be the low point to buy right there, $1.30, $1.35, somewhere in there. And targets I'd be looking at for this one about 6 to 7.75 for a nice 500% gain. Okay, next one here, IRIN. Again, this is not really perfect per se. It's not going to be perfect. Trading is kind of a fluid thing. You have to be willing to adjust to the markets as they change. Trust me, I wish it was set in stone, but it's not. That's never the way it's been. That's never the way it's probably going to be. So support down here, 570 to 720. This is pretty close to support. So I would, if I was going to position, I'd probably look at something like this one that's really close to the buy zone. Okay, so 13.25 all the way up to 18 here. And let's just say we get a pullback to the top of the green zone here, and that's it, 150% gain. Okay, Wolf, last one. All right, so we did get some kind of bounce here. I'm not really sure why. And just draw a line across here, and maybe it's because it was about to hit that swing level here. It could be a 50% Fibonacci retracement. That's always possible because the smart money zone is actually known as the 0.782 to the 0.786 to the 0.618 is actually known as the smart money zone. That's usually where they'll either look to sell or buy, depending on whether it's bullish or bearish. But let's see if I can figure out why this is a particular level here. So, I'm not really sure. Let's do a fib retracement then and find out where this thing could potentially go. So next level up here would be roughly about 1450. My guess is they're probably looking at maybe this right here. You see how it kind of bobbed, like it was bobbing above it, right? And then it took off from that point. That could be the reason why that was the bottom. It could also be these candle wicks here and this swing high that gave them a reason to want to buy at this particular zone. It's hard to say, honestly. But anyways, we'll just look at this for now. So $2, again, it could be the $2 price target, the major round number psychological level. So there is that. Anywhere from, I would probably say anywhere from 2. You know what? Let's draw another line here. I really don't like this particular chart. It's very confusing to look at. So, okay, so roughly about 2 to 280. Again, kind of where that chop was before the breakout. That's what I'd be looking for as a buy area at this point. This is actually now resistance until we flip it, that is. So you could buy there, or you could wait to get a bounce all the way down at $1. That could happen too. But again, we have not seen that for almost a year and a half at this point. So we may not get another chance to get shares at that cheap until the next crypto bear winter. That's possible. So the target I'd be looking at is at least $9 on this. Again, it could wick. It could wick above $9 and then flash back down just like it did the last time. So keep that in mind. That's about a 350% gain. All right. Hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.